as Chargers fan, I'm not sold on Austin Eckler.
Wow.
He's not our franchise running back. Like, we don't need to pay him.
Yeah, but Joshua Kelly and
definitely not. Definitely not.
You don't have any guys on.
No, I don't feel like there's a franchise. Like, he's good, but he's not. He can't be a franchise running back in my eyes.
Did you just lock him up to a 3-year contract or a 4-year contract last year, though?
Yeah, and then we're drafting Joshua Kelly. His rookie season, I was disgusted. I was like, oh god.
I actually really like Justin Jackson as a change of pace back, but Joshua Kelly is just crap.
I like
he
Jackson.
screwed me over last year.
Justin Jack. Okay, so I'm a little biased. I do love my running backs that can catch a ball, right? But Austin Eckler, I just feel like he's not the 1,000-yard running back we're gonna get.
Well, no, he's probably gonna get like 600, 700 rushing yards, maybe at max.
PPR gold.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For half-point PPR, dude, he's gonna catch at least 80 passes.
Easily.
But if he ever asks for all-star money, though, don't do it, guys. Don't do it, please. We have Justin Herbert, so I was just thinking about it. Like, as a Chargers fan, the plays aren't gonna go through the running back. Our strongest is Justin Herbert and our wide receivers. Theoretically, I feel like anyone can run. Our running backs are, disposable.
No, but like, okay, so Hunter Henry left, right, in the offseason. So now doesn't that cycle more targets towards Eckler? Because that short to intermediate is going to be.
Well, what about Jared Cook? I like Jared Cook.
He's going to be catching 35 passes, and he's going to be a red zone target. That's about it.
Yeah. I like Jared Cook.
I do too, but. Yeah, I can see it, but didn't Hunter Henry catch like 50 passes or something like that last year? I can't remember his stats off the top of my head.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, I remember that. He had a better year because he actually was able to stay healthy a bit.
Yeah, the whole season. The first time Goose was actually healthy the whole season.
He really was healthy, that was bizarre to me. He was healthy all season.
I like Justin Herbert, but I don't like he's being drafted right now as quarterback 6, which I don't know. That just seems a little bit much to me. I don't know if he can. If you're buying him at quarterback 6, he needs like a perfect, flawless like.
That's what you're saying.
Season.
Maybe give him like one more season of like just pure production, and then be like, this is a dude. You know what I mean? Like.
I feel like 6 is good. I'm comfortable with him at 6. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about. I haven't. They have what? Dak Prescott above him.
Yes, Dak is above him. Dak is quarterback 4 right now.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
at
Oh
all.
really? Oh wow.
I really don't. We can get into that like too, but like. The reason I guess why I don't agree with it is because Dak had a massive injury last year. If I'm being honest, I need to see something, before I just buy all in on Dak Prescott going into the year. Like I would make him like play really hard for a season to prove that he's worth that type of fantasy value going forward. Because the Cowboys still struggle to get even like an 8-8 record when he was healthy, and I still think they would have had that same issue last year, regardless, because the NFC East is the way it is. But
he's gonna have to throw though. Like that's their team. Like their defense is crap. They're gonna have to throw.
They're gonna have to, and that's what I'm saying is I want to see one more solid year of output from Dak Prescott, where like a full season, and then you can start putting him at like. That top 4, that top 6 pick. Like, then I'm totally okay with that. I'm on board. You know what I mean?
Like, do you want to do a bet this year for like dinner or something like that? We'll do Dak over Herbert.
What? I think.
Whoa! Don't do this to me and John.
I would bet Herbert has.
Okay, John. I don't even know you, but I will bet you a dinner on me if. I
will
buy you a pizza. I will
okay,
Uber Eats whatever a pizza to
man,
for you.
Let's just save it. Let's just save this for intro here. We're gonna go live in probably 10 seconds here, boys. So
Oh, okay.
All right, so I'll give us a countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Intro. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in our Sports Zone with John and Mike. We have a special guest this week. His name is Barrett Hulse. He's creating his own podcast very soon, probably in a month. We're going to have him talk about that. So you can be sure to check out his Twitter handle when you see it on the screen. It's Barrett_Red Zone Fantasy Football, RZFF. So this week we're going to be talking about a few things between Phillip Rivers calling out defenses as a joke, Richard Sherman being in a little bit of trouble, but we're going to discuss the details of that situation, some releases that have happened over the past couple weeks, because we've all been really busy and been trying to plan this for a little bit. The idea of Aaron Rodgers leaving or coming back, we get a little more update on Aaron throughout the last couple weeks with the golf tournament and everything. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring my boys in here, my buddies. Let's bring in Barrett and John.
Everybody,
What's
my name is
up?
Barrett.
What's up?
Go ahead, Barrett. Barrett, let him know who you are.
My name is Barrett, and I'll be representing Red Zone Fantasy Football. That's a company I'll be starting up here probably at the end of August, early September.
I like it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm John, and I like to party. Let's go. Let's go.
My name's Mike, and I also like to party.
But you can't party. That's my thing.
John's thing. You can't copy John.
We
can't have that.
You can't. I hope anybody in the chat that's watching this understands the reference from that. Well, let's get right into it, guys. So, we obviously got some news this week about some players that are having some issues off the field. And we don't even know the gist of it, but this we'll go over it and we'll talk about it here. So let's start with Richard Sherman. Obviously, you can see our logos before we get into this. Like, John is a Chargers fan, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, and Barrett is a avid Denver Broncos fan. Earlier we almost had a throwdown about this, and I accidentally had the cameras switched over to where John was with the Broncos logo. I thought he was gonna have an aneurysm for a second there, but
I thought I did. I damn near had a stroke.
All right, so let's pull up this article at Richard Sherman. I have all three articles that were tweeted out by Adam Schefter, so I'm gonna just zoom this up a little bit. So this is the first one that was posted the day that it happened. Washington State's police also are investigating Richard Sherman in connections to a hit and run and damage to State Department of Transportation property. State police say that at about 1 a.m. Pacific time, they received a report of a single car accident. A car had struck a concrete barrier. The driver apparently was able to drive the vehicle off the exit and abandoned it in a nearby parking lot. The registration was run and it came back to Richard Sherman. Going further into the details of this case, Sherman was booked at 6:08 a.m. local time Wednesday at the King County Correctional Facility in Seattle and is being investigated for burglary and domestic violence, according to public records. Records state he was denied bail, but a spokesman for the Redmond, Washington Police Department told ESPN that is a standard procedure for suspects of domestic violence until they can appear before a judge, which is true. The spokesman, who would not confirm the name of the person taken into custody, said a 911 call from the residence was received at 2 a.m. Pacific time. The person calling said that an adult male family member who did not live at the residence was attempting to force his way into the home. When police arrived, the suspect was outside the home. He fought with police, was eventually apprehended and taken to a local hospital to be checked. After he was cleared medically, he was booked into King County Correctional Facility.
That's big news. Big news for Richard Sherman.
And then to finish this off, it says the spokesman said no one at the residence was injured. Sherman, 33 years old, completed his third season with the San Francisco 49ers in 2020 after spending the first 7 seasons of his career with the Seattle Seahawks. Sherman also is a vice president of the NFL Players Association's executive committee. their quote on this was, "We were made aware of an arrest last night of one of our player leaders for an alleged domestic violence incident and have activated our domestic violence crisis protocol for the protection and support of everyone involved. The NFLPA said in a statement, we will continue to monitor events closely as more facts are made available to us. Sherman has been selected to five Pro Bowls, is a 3-time first team All Pro in his 10 NFL seasons. So very prolific career for Richard Sherman with this issue. So I guess what I want to talk about this is opening thoughts on like when you guys saw this on your phones. I know when I saw this, I was quite shocked. I was kind of taken back by it. But I had a lot of time to think about it, and I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on it as to where it stands right now. The updated story is that he originally got no bail, but then he was released, and a lot of the charges were dropped. This does appear to be a family issue that's going on. The video has been released on Instagram, and for the privacy of Richard Sherman, I'm not going to show that video on the stream.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not. I feel like that's not my place or appropriate.
Was it a security film? Security video of it?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, doorbell.
On a doorbell, on like a Ring doorbell or something like that.
Oh wow.
It had audio on it. I'm not going to play that on here. If you so to seek that on your own, you can go ahead and do that. But
I'm not too familiar with it, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions since you're pretty caught up on it. Was he like inebriated or something?
He seemed like it.
Very much.
He was slurring his speech, yelling a lot, and then he tried to break in the door. And then
I read his apology letter.
It was his father-in-law, and why don't you pull that apology letter up and send that to me in Discord so I can put that in. He did a very classy apology letter. But it was actually his father-in-law that was eventually later that day reported to have called in. He was trying to get to his wife. And if you've ever been in love, you know that love makes you do crazy things. And so with that being said, let's hear what your guys' thoughts were when you saw this on your phones.
Go ahead, Barrett. Tell him while I pull up that.
Initially, I thought, because I was hoping that Sherman would have signed with the Jets.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I'm like, well, there goes their opportunity to sign Richard Sherman. I don't think this guy is going to be on any football team at the end of the year.
Yeah, what do you think about the stance for him being on the NFL Players Association committee? With that, do you think that's going to be taken away, or do you think that there's going to be steps for getting
I think so.
back more involved with that? Because we've seen Richard Sherman do good things in the league, and his charities are great. And what do you think that's going to kind of entail, Barrett?
I don't think they're going to take his title from him. I don't think he's going to be that high of a power anymore. I really don't. I think he's going to have to do some kind of counseling, some kind of treatment, anything like that to try and clear his name up, and then we'll see what happens in 2022.
John, what are your thoughts on this?
I think we don't hear from him this year. I'll be honest. I don't think we hear from him this year. We don't see him play. And it's not for, strictly this. His career is slowly. He's got to spice it up. With no what do you call it? He doesn't have an agent. I was listening to I think it was Pat McAfee. If he would have had an agent, he would have had bail. It wouldn't have looked as bad. But because he didn't have an agent to kind of clear it up, it looks a lot worse than it is.
Yeah. Go on.
So I just, I think he's gonna take this L. He's gonna sit out this season, probably get his mind right, and I hope he bounces back. Maybe gets one more shot in the NFL, but if he's out, it was a good season, man. It was a good time. Enjoyed his gameplay. I think he's a respectable guy. This doesn't change my point of view on it. We all have those days. Don't hold it against the guy. I don't hold it against him.
Yeah, I really believe in the power of people to change for the better. As if something bad happens, I've witnessed this myself personally with one of my friends. And you just gotta hold people accountable. You know what I mean? And give them the opportunity to be real and be honest with you. And I think that Richard Sherman's really kind of handled all of this media coverage of him pretty professionally. From what I saw, the apology letter. Do you happen to have that in front of you yet?
Right now in the
And Richard Sherman seems to be like a very class guy. Like he's
Yeah.
well educated, well spoken. Like people like him. So this is kind of like a shock. Like it wasn't like of his character at all to be,
Right,
trying
and
to force himself.
that's why it's a big deal. It's because it's not his
It's not
character.
like him.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, me
people like
too.
him.
Yeah.
You
Legion
know,
of Boom was he's
deadly. It was fun. It was fun football to watch.
I'm gonna look up this.
I just posted it in the Discord if you want to check it out.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I was really hoping that he would have went to the Jets, like, with Saleh being there. That was his defensive
good fit.
coordinator. Yeah.
Did you put it in sports or fantasy football?
Fantasy football?
Here it is. So it says, I am deeply remorseful for my actions on Tuesday night. I behaved in a manner I am not proud of. I have been dealing with some personal challenges over the last several months, but that is not an excuse for how I acted. The importance of mental health and emotional health is extremely real, and I vow to get the help that I need. I appreciate all the people who have reached out in support of me and my family, including our community here in Seattle. I am grateful to have such an amazing wife, family, and support system to lean on during this time. So here's kind of what I get from reading that is, and I thought the same thing as this case kind of reminded me a lot of the Adrian Peterson situation when he used a switch on his kids, and that got publicly displayed. I think what happened here is because these guys are famous athletes and celebrities, this situation kind of blew up, and clearly the family and him are trying to be intact and fix things. As he stated, it's a mental health, and he's labeling it as a mental health situation that he's been going on for several months. I mean, these guys get, and it's not an excuse. These guys do have a lot of hits. They hit a lot in their head, with their helmets, on accident, like or intentionally. Sometimes if you get the wrong player, which was not Richard Sherman. He's not that type of player. Very clean player, and a king of trash talk when he's on the field. But I think what I'm getting out of it is that this needs to stay a family issue,
Right.
And clearly that, like, most cases like that this would happen. I think people would say, well, how come all these charges got dropped off of him, and why is that right? Well, just another celebrity. But I think what people are going to overlook is that this is his family. He was at his father-in-law's house. Like, clearly he had something going on that night. Like we said, he did appear to be inebriated.
It's a family issue, man. Like,
But it's a family issue. I felt like maybe the media should just at this point stay out of it and let the family just take care of it. And you know what? As we were saying, if Richard Sherman doesn't get signed this year and takes time to himself just to get right in the head, maybe he comes back next season and not this season. Because frankly, sometimes you just need to take time to yourself and your family and just get things right. Because frankly, that's 10 times more important than football. Like,
Yeah,
what are you guys' thoughts on it?
And time heals all wounds. Like that's
I love
That's a
that
fact.
answer.
it's a good one.
Just a good answer.
When he's ready, he'll come back, and I'm sure he's gonna be great. He puts his money on himself, and I gotta respect it. Just one incident doesn't change my opinion on him. I still respect him.
Yeah.
Player. This little incident that got blown out of proportion is what I firmly believe in. It's a family incident. He got drunk. He did some things, and it's frowned upon. But because it's Richard Sherman, we gotta.
It was everywhere.
Yeah, you gotta suffer the consequences. Sadly, because of who you are.
this isn't like a Kareem Hunt or a Tyreek Hill or a
Yeah.
like Ray Rice scandal. Like this is a little little less than that. So I think he'll be back. I mean, I can see him coming back and doing 2 more years and ending his career and riding off into the sunset. But I don't think it's 2021. I don't think it's his time. I really don't.
I think he's take time to heal. I'll put it that way. Let's leave it at that. I think we're all on the same
That's good.
the
I
same
like it.
page as that. So going forward, this is kind of one that popped out of nowhere by Adam Schefter as well. This was a release that also involved some issues off the field. The Atlanta Falcons have released linebacker Varkevious Mingo on Saturday after he was arrested in Texas on a charge of indecency with a child sexual contact. Arlington police said that Mingo was arrested Thursday on the second-degree felony charge, which carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison under the Texas state law. According
Mingo.
According to the state penal code, the charge relates to engaging in sexual contact with someone younger than 17 years of age or causing the child to engage in sexual contact. So kind of a big deal.
He's done.
He's not coming back.
It's not funny, but I was laughing at how you guys said he's done. He's not coming back. I hope you have a good lawyer. That sounds pretty damning evidence, though.
His skills doesn't make him, eligible to come back. Like, he's not that good of a linebacker for them to be like, oh, let's bring this guy back. Like,
borderline keeper.
I've never drafted him in IDP leagues.
Much.
That's why the article didn't stand out to me. I just saw it and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That can go along with talking about some off the field stuff." But I mean, the whole Richard Sherman thing, different. That's another level. So
People have been blackballed for less than the NFL. That's not gonna fly.
That ain't gonna fly. Yeah, that one's done. A little more off the field drama. Obviously we all know Aaron Rodgers has been not showing up to anything and not talking to the media, and there's not a whole lot to talk about this, but it's kind of fun to discuss because as a football fan, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best to ever play this game, and we know that. Like, even if I'm saying that as a Vikings fan, we talked about it before. He has mad skills. He is an incredible quarterback. Legends say that he can throw a football over a mountain. That could be Uncle Rico. I could be getting those two mixed up.
Rico.
But so we're in a situation with Rodgers, and I feel for Packers fans at this point. So Barrett, we haven't gotten your take on this. I guess the question I want you to answer to start this is, at what point is, and John, you can answer this too. Like, at what point are you holding your team hostage and the success of your team hostage because, as the quarterback of this team, you're supposed to be a leader. You're under contract for two more years. You knew what you were signing, and you're being passive aggressive. You're not answering anybody. Like, you're not showing up to mandatory stuff now. Like, you're being fined You're being fined like $90,000 a practice when you're not there. You're off in Hawaii doing these golf tournaments. Like, it's for me. It's like, hey, I get it. You're upset that this team hasn't drafted a wide receiver in the first round in 16 seasons with you. I understand that. But the Patriots did the same thing with Tom Brady, and they won 5 Super Bowls with that man. So at what point are we gonna take the blame off of that and just say, what do we gotta do to get over the hump? Because frankly, for me, not showing up to practice isn't gonna get you there. And if you knew what you were signing when you signed that contract, so that's where I'm at with it. But, we haven't had you on before, and I'd like to hear a fresh take of, what you think of the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, because he possibly could get traded to your team. Like, is this a guy that you want there, or no?
Yes. Oh, hands down. I want this. I so want Aaron Rodgers to be my quarterback. You have no idea.
I think everybody does.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, they drafted a quarterback last year. That was the nail in the coffin. You don't trade up, and they traded up to get that quarterback. They've done this before. They did with Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see where Aaron's at, and then last year he's MVP, MVP performance.
Right.
And they didn't do anything for him this year. They drafted Amari Rodgers in the 4th round.
They drafted a cornerback in the first round with the 29th pick.
Yep. See, there we go. My point exactly. Yes, you are holding your team hostage by not reporting to camp, by not doing all this stuff. But he had to come in. The team had to come in. I mean, they drafted his replacement and didn't even let him know. They could have called him. Hey, we're gonna draft your quarterback or your replacement. And they didn't even bother to do that. He was sitting on a live I think it was Pat McAfee's show, and talking about how they wanted a wide receiver. And all of a sudden, they draft his replacement. Not even an hour later.
No.
So and I would love to see him go to Denver. I just want to see him out of there. He is a.
I mean, this clearly this isn't going to work in Green Bay if he even does come back, because there's a lot of frustration going on, and I think a fired up Aaron Rodgers is going to play great football. But like
Imagine
that. But that being said,
fired up on
go ahead.
Denver. Oh,
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
him
Go.
going to
What did you
Denver
say,
would
John?
make us win a Super Bowl, dude.
fired up Aaron Rodgers in Denver. And everyone know there was a good meme the other day that Denver Broncos and people who hate on the Denver Broncos know they're only a quarterback away from another
For
championship.
real, they are
They really are.
Our defense is easily top 3.
easily.
They're
They
looking better with their draft. Their defense is young. It's looking good.
the last update we got on this story, because we try not to talk about this too much because obviously you could talk about Aaron Rodgers forever. Is Aaron Rodgers was asked after they won, which congratulations by the way, they beat Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson in the golf tournament. He was
Good.
asked about quarterbacking for the Packers. He said, I don't know if I'll be there. We'll see. I'm gonna get back to working out and figure things out in a couple of weeks. But what's interesting about this enough is that Aaron Rodgers is at some point I use the term holding the team hostage, and I don't know if that's true. Because I understand he's disgruntled, but he is under contract, so it's a really complicated thing, needless to say. Because you see Tom Brady restructure a lot and like have his team like be able to go sign more guys to keep guys around that are, star offensive linemen, star defensive players, all the above. Like, and that's why Tom Brady's had the success that he's had. So, I think with Aaron Rodgers, it's a complicated situation because obviously we know they drafted Jordan Love. We know they don't have they haven't drafted any wide receivers, but we pulled up charts before in previous shows where it's like he's had a top 5 offensive line, he's had a top 5 tight end, he's had top 5 running backs, like he's had a top 10 defense the past couple seasons, 2 NFC Championship appearances. So it's a heavy topic of conversation because there's a lot to talk about with it, but I feel like we're getting to a point where I was listening to the Chris Collingsworth podcast a little bit. His podcast is actually really great. Him and Adam Schefter were it might have been Ian Rappaport, where we're talking about this situation and what it should look like. And it seems like both those guys are pretty annoyed with Aaron Rodgers at this point as professional analysts, and they were saying, like, hypothetically, this is how it should go, saying that, Aaron should stop being passive aggressive and just say what he's going to do or what he's not going to do. And that, he should, like, on one end, Rappaport or Schefter was saying, I think he should come out and just like say, hey, I have loved playing in Green Bay. I have loved playing for these fans. I love this area, but like, it's time to move on. And Collinsworth is saying that it's just time to like stop being passive. Like it's time to just openly talk about what you're gonna do. Be direct. Stop being coy with your fans because they care about this topic and they care about what's happening. Yeah, so that's kind of where this is at right now. Like, John, what are your thoughts on hearing Aaron Rodgers say, "I'm gonna get back to working out and figure things out in a couple weeks"?
Yeah, no. I'm thinking about it from maybe Devontae's point of view. You're as a player, like I understand he wants it either he needs help, he wants what it's Aaron Rodgers, he's great,
Right.
we respect that, but as a player, dude, I just want my quarterback, just show up, bro. We need the work now. We have to. Tom Brady puts in the work in the off season, and be direct. You're absolutely right. Be direct. Be upfront. Do you want to play or do you not? Because that'll save us a lot of time.
I love that. Like, we are running out of time, and we need to save some of that right now so we can prepare for the future. Yeah.
Right now, I think love is numero uno. And
it doesn't help the Packers signed a bunch of.
Hold on, like it's this whole situation kind of reminds me of like Le'Veon holding out.
It's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting there. And if you're just gonna eat that money, you're gonna take those losses and not lose what 90,000, however much he's losing to not show up to these practices. As a fan, I'm like, dude, you either with it or you're not. Because I felt the same way about Joey Bosa when he signed as a rookie. Like, dude, either you want to be here or you don't. Like, let's just
right.
I'll wait. Like as a fan, like I want to know that you want to be here, and if you don't, there's the door.
I feel like the impact.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like the impact of the division too is like it's high stakes too in the NFC North right now because we all know the NFC North is one of those divisions that it comes down to the wire between two or three out of the four teams every year, on a good season. And I think that if the Packers, this is for me as a Vikings fan, I would love for Aaron Rodgers to come back, beat him 2 more times, and then have him leave. Then we know that we beat the Packers at their strongest. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's a total downgrade, and maybe it's not. Maybe moving to Jordan Love is the right thing, but I feel like it's a total downgrade at quarterback, and
It is.
and that just changes the dynamic of the NFC North division because now, I'm not exactly scared of Jared Goff with the Lions. There's a reason why LA didn't want him anymore, and why they wanted Matthew Stafford because we've seen Matthew Stafford on a healthy game is great. I'm not exactly scared of Justin Fields because it sounds like you're going to play Dalton.
But how many games of Dalton are you going to get?
Right, exactly. And so who knows how that's going to go. And then, frankly, with the Packers, Jordan Love, going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love in his first year, that's going to be interesting if that's the case. So the Vikings are in a prime position to really say, hey, we're the team to beat. So
You really are.
So I think that's all I have to say on it. Do you guys have any finishing thoughts on the Packers?
Barrett, go ahead. Barrett, go ahead. I'll give you my finishing thoughts.
Okay. Now, hypothetically, if Aaron Rodgers does leave, how does that affect your guys' views on Devontae Adams? Like, dude had 18 touchdowns last year. Like, does that change things? Are you not drafting him until, the third round now? Like,
yeah, fantasy-wise, that's a great question, Barrett. Like, who are you, Devontae Adams goes from, a second, third-round receiver pick to all of a sudden, well, maybe I can wait a little bit.
Yeah. Or Aaron Jones, too. Aaron Jones is going in, the back end of the first round right now.
Mm-hmm.
If Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, I'm not touching Aaron Jones at all. I don't want anything to do with this offense at all.
I completely agree with that. John, what are your final thoughts on the Packers?
Keep Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to come to the AFC West. It's too loaded. Patrick Mahomes twice a year. Do you really want to do that to yourself? You might as well keep dominating. You might as well keep dominating.
And tell me that he wouldn't want to go to Denver, where there's Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler.
Right?
He would love that, but at the same time, it's a loaded division.
It is.
You guys got a strong division right now. You really do. It's young too. It's not it's not an old man's game in that division.
It's not. We got tough, dude. You might as well just ride it out in the NFC. Don't come back to the AFC.
Moving on. Let's talk about your favorite guy, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, let's talk about him.
Let's pull him up here. Let's talk about the GOAT of the Chargers. So Phillip Rivers, JJ Watt was talked about this week, how Phillip Rivers would tell opposing defenses when they were lined up wrong. And this is kind of a funny story, actually. I'll go ahead and get rid of that graphic, and then I'll put the second one up. JJ Watt on Phillip Rivers said, "I'll never forget lining up for a play, and Phil pointing to one of our linebackers and telling him he was lined up wrong based off the blitz we were about to run and being 100% correct about it." Is Phillip Rivers going to become the next Tony Romo and just be that announcer that's super good and fun to listen to and be able to predict everything? Tony Romo's a wizard.
Rivers on the mic.
I would love it, actually, personally.
Yeah. All that little ad-lib does. Gosh darn it!
Gosh darn it!
That's horse mess. He's not though. Unfortunately, Phillip Rivers is he's out doing his own thing, coaching up the high school boys at the Christian school.
Yeah, he's living. He said he's always wanted to coach a high school team, so I thought that was kind of cool that he followed through on that. He was not afraid to step down from being a professional football player.
It's what his dad did. It's really what he loves is football in general. His dad was his high school football coach, and he wants to do that for his sons, all 16 of them.
I think if they threw him enough money, though, I think he would go and be an announcer. Hey, he's got 7 kids to feed.
Imagine.
Did you guys see that stat line that they put up of Joe Burrow and Phillip Rivers last year that had like no context, where it was like yards per game, like touchdowns, interceptions, and then it said like children 7 and like 0 for Joe Burrow.
Like that's his claim to fame is his children.
Poor guy. Yeah, he's got his own starting 11 ready to go.
That was the funniest thing ever. He just needs 4 more kids to have his own starting 11 team, and they could all play both sides of the ball. You know.
Yep.
Wouldn't put it past him though, man. I really wouldn't. Like, I would like to see him in a broadcast studio. I really would.
I actually would. He'd
love
be
it.
great.
I would love that idea.
So that being said, some more kind of smaller things to talk about before we'll talk about the Washington football team. The Washington football president Jason Wright has officially announced that a permanent name and logo will be unveiled in early 2022, per @Nick J Habvala. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm sorry.
2022.
The new name and logo will be revealed in early 2022, and it will remain the traditional burgundy and gold colors that are entrenched in the team's history, Wright has said.
Have any ideas of what you want it to be?
The franchise will be called the Washington football team for the 2021 season at this point. I am big on the Washington Red Wolves. Like, that needs to happen. I was watching the Pat McAfee show. I was at work the other day, and they were like had some funny freaking chants, man, when they were talking about like "Go Pat, go!" Just because the Wolves
doing the wolf howl after every single thing. Yeah, sign me up for that, dude. I am down for the wolf pack.
Yeah, like there's some cool ideas for this team, so it's kind of a really exciting time for the Washington football team. Like, what do you guys think? Like, what names have stuck out to you guys?
I like the idea of the Red Wolves or some kind of wolf pack or something like that. I like that idea. I also liked that they had like some like pigs or something along the line of that due to their their history with the pigskins.
Yeah, that'd be kind of sick. Actually, that's pretty cool. I haven't heard that. That's actually awesome. John, what do you think, my man?
I like their name now. I mean, it's no one else has something like that. The Washington football team. I mean, it's not my personal team. Yeah, it's kind of like very bland, but it grew on me. The Washington football team.
I think it kind of grew. What's that?
It grew on me.
Oh, can you imagine hearing like, yeah, what's your favorite football team? I love my favorite football team is the football team. Yeah, no, what football team? Yeah, the football team, dude.
It's the football team. Like
the football team. No, I mean, it has to be something. I really do like that theory you just said about like the wolf pack. That sounds like a good time.
I'm
down for that. A badass wolf on it. Oh yeah, sign me up.
The Red Wolves logo. I'm not gonna take the time to pull it up, but like if people are watching the chat, look up the Washington Red Wolves design that a fan came up with, because it is sick. It is like, if that doesn't get it, I'll actually be disappointed. Like, their logos were awesome, the uniforms were awesome, the helmets were awesome, everything was just cool. Like, the color design, like, man, that guy needs a job in the NFL, straight up. They nailed that design. And you know what? If we don't get that, I'm probably gonna go make a custom jersey somewhere along the way with that design on it.
There you go. McLaren.
Actually, I'm thinking about buying a jersey of the Washington football team just to say that I have a football team jersey, you know?
That would be cool, yeah.
You're right. That'd be kind of cool.
That's actually not a bad idea, Barrett.
Like Terry McLaurin or Antonio Gibson, sign me up.
F1 McLaurin. F1 McLaurin, as Ron Boyce probably likes to call him.
McLaurin's my favorite guy, dude. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I have him on so many leagues right now.
He's dangerous. I had him all last year. He's dangerous.
If I had to get a Washington football team, it would definitely be a Chase Young.
That's dangerous. Ooh, I like it.
I think he's special.
He's a freak.
Yeah, he's gifted. He's gonna be wrecking the league for a while.
I'm saying Gibson for me. If I had to pick a jersey, I'm going Antonio Gibson. I'm going that running back. He's gonna be a stud.
Okay.
Good choice. I like that. Gibson could be a top 10 running back this year.
Yeah, Yeah,
I think you're
people
right.
are not sold on him. I don't know why. He is on track to be good. Like
You know how many rushing attempts he had in college? But off the
I
top of your
don't.
head,
I don't.
33.
That's
That's
it.
it. That is it.
That's all
Yeah,
he did.
he's got a lot of legs left in him. Then
Oh,
Oh God, does he ever? He was a wide receiver in college.
that's nuts.
So the thing about last year was his whole entire. That was his first year being a running back. He learned the position, and he broke
What?
1,000. Yes.
That's
wow.
insane. Well, speaking of the offense, with Antonio Gibson, let's dive into this offense just a little bit more. So the Gridiron Bleacher Report made a really sick graphic for the Washington football team's weapons. Right now, this is what it would look like: quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, wide receiver Terry McLaurin, wide receiver Curtis Samuel, who, by the way, both played college football together, and they tweeted something about talking about this when they were in college. Now it's happening. They're getting to play together on the same team again. They have a dangerous tight end in Logan Thomas, and they have a very dangerous running back in Antonio Gibson. Do you guys see any flaws in this wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback set? Or are you feeling pretty good about this?
That feels
Oh,
pretty
I like
balanced.
it a lot. Yeah, me too.
Pretty
Plus, they
balanced.
brought in De'Ami Brown too, and I think he's a great rotational piece. They still got Kelvin Harmon and the Sims brothers. Both of
Yeah.
them are
Yep.
pretty good. Like honestly, this team went from a zero team to this is scary. And Fitzpatrick likes to throw the ball.
They're gonna win
Yeah.
their division again. I think
Oh, you do.
easily, easily. Um, what
Would
I
you
would
say?
like to see. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
What would you say their weakest point of as a team is?
Um, based
Maybe
off of how
defense?
based off of how that playoff game went, maybe a little bit of their offensive line could improve because
Yo, you're right. You're right.
Taylor Heineke was kind of running for his life in that playoff game against the Bucks, but at the same time they were playing a really dangerous Buccaneers defense. So I mean,
So they could afford to beef up their line a little bit.
yeah, maybe just a little, but I
I
mean,
agree.
I
I
feel like
agree.
that's it for me. Barrett, what do you think about that?
I can't remember if they lost any offensive linemen or brought anybody in. And I was sorry about that, but
I think it's the same line from last year. But that big loss was that Trent was it. They had that one guy go to the Raiders.
Williams, right?
Yeah, Trent
Yep.
Williams or
Yeah.
49ers, one of the two. That's a
Yeah.
big loss because that guy was solid. A
He's a
solid
stud.
tackle. So I
Like, I think their worst thing that they have though is their cornerback group is crap. Like, it really isn't that good,
Yeah, that's fair.
and their linebacker core isn't as solid as it needs to be. Like
right.
Holcomb is a very good middle linebacker, but
Yeah.
he's
They
I
got
can't.
out.
Can you name the other guys on the team?
No.
Is Kerrigan still there?
No, I don't even think
I think he's gone. No, I think he's done, dude.
I think okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Their front four though is really, really, really powerful. I mean Chase Young, Matthew Ioannidis,
Yeah,
Um,
that's who I was trying to. Yeah, he's a stud. He's good.
Jonathan Allen is another
on their
good
way.
guy.
They're definitely on their way.
The fun thing about IDP leagues is that when you get a team like this that does have not they have a good defense, but it's not like I'd say they're one of the most improved defenses. But like when you got younger guys that are kind of new to the position, they get a lot of tackles. And the IDP leagues, that's a lot of points. So kind of interesting to think about. But I feel good about this Washington football team. So Run Boys Rabia, and if you're out there and you're listening to this, I'll give you a shout out when we're done with this. But your team's looking good, man. Your team is looking sharp. I hope you're doing well. So
Well, every other team in that division was god awful. Like they should win their division.
yeah, we're not gonna take time to talk about Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not sold
About
on
that time of the division.
I'm not sold on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they made a huge mistake on letting a guy like Carson Wentz go, because when Carson Wentz is healthy and has the right coaching staff, he's going to be dangerous. And I think we're going to see a big turn of events in the NFL with Carson being a Colt and having a really big offensive line now. And so yeah, the Eagles are not even at this point worth talking about to me. Well,
Have you guys talked to about them in a prior episode?
we have.
Oh, okay.
The Eagles. Where we start.
Did you? The only one that I'm actually looking at for this Eagles team though is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's the
You
guy I'm
get-
going to be watching.
He's gonna get him in the 7th or 8th round. Like I'm okay with taking him as my quarterback in the 7th or 8th
if you
round.
need someone. Yeah, for sure. He'll be a late pick for me, worst case. I'm not sold on him at all. I think that with all the quarterbacks the Eagles have signed, just in the offseason alone, that tells me they're not really sold on him either. Because if you're willing to like ship your guy and Carson Wentz somewhere else, and all of a sudden be like, well, I don't really fully believe in Jalen Hurts to really lead this team. That's why they're signing all these guys, and then the GM and the front office are all saying the same thing now. They're like, well, it's gonna be a competition. Well, in most situations like this, they would have just named him the starter. Like, there wouldn't have been a competition. So, in my opinion, but I could be completely wrong on there. I don't run a football team, but from the outside perspective, that's the vibe that I get, is that they don't really fully believe in his abilities yet. So,
I'm excited to see what Wentz does in the Colts, though.
yeah,
I really am.
very excited. I still got to get my jersey.
I still think that Michael Pittman. I think that's my buy this year. I think Michael Pittman Jr. could be that number 1 wide receiver on that team.
Nah, he's gonna be good. I really agree with that. We'll focus on the Colts another episode because there's a lot to talk about there. We were recently talking about the Tennessee Titans a little bit before we started. Whoops, wrong graphic.
There we are.
So this was an interesting graphic that I saw that gives kind of a perspective to fantasy purpose for the Tennessee Titans. Good Lord, I'm losing everything here.
You make that a little bigger?
Yeah.
More or less.
And I actually can't see anything on my screen, so.
Oh, you just go ahead and pull up the stream on Twitch.
Oh, okay. All right,
I'll mute it.
Gotcha.
So while you're doing that, Barrett, we pulled up a graphic of Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. It says more or less. So in 2020, the Titans were 11-5. It says, will the Titans win more in 2021 or will they win less? Since you can't see the graphic yet, I'm gonna go with John. How do you think the Titans are gonna do? Are they gonna do more than 11 wins or less, and why?
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna put more.
There's 17 games too. Remember that. There's 17 games this year.
Yeah, I have to look at their schedule, but I'll put the money on more wins. I think they can still be efficient. I think Tannehill's a stud he looks good on the Titans. The best I've ever seen Tannehill really play was playing on the Titans.
I think this is the team.
Julio back.
This is the team that he was supposed to be. So yeah, let's talk about that. They got Julio Jones. So do you think that's while we're still on you, John? Do you think that's a direct impact to the team? That's gonna help, or what do you think?
That's gonna draw a lot of attention to defenders. It's gonna free up. It could free up some space for Derrick Henry to really just be efficient and be running in the open spaces. I think
and he's already efficient.
Right, but then you throw in Julio Jones. You gotta cover him, possibly the other team. You have AJ Brown, if I'm correct, right? That's his first name.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. You have AJ Brown, Julio Jones. Is it Corey Davis?
Corey Davis is off now.
Okay, gone.
Their third right now is Reynolds. Used to play for the
Reynolds.
Rams. Yeah, Josh Reynolds.
Yep.
And that guy's good in space too. I think they can easily take over more than 11 wins. You got to look at their division too, though. Who they got? They're gonna go 2-0 against the Texans, right?
Yep.
So Texans don't even have. I want to talk about the Texans later, just as far as draft.
Yeah.
But like that's a team that doesn't even have an identity at this moment. You have. Give me who else is their division?
Jags.
Ooh, Jags.
I think the Jags can beat them one game out of the year. I actually do.
I think they slip one. I think they slip one in there. And then their next division. I think they get one on the Colts. It's a young team.
So they're 2-2 right now with their division. Oh, I guess they'd be.
I think the Colts and the Titans games are gonna be fun.
I think so too.
That's gonna be.
I still think the Colts win that division though.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that take, but I wouldn't expected it. That's cool.
I think it's theirs to. I think it's their division too. I'd say I like the Colts this year. If I was a betting man, I'm putting money on the Colts to take over.
Do you have the biggest win totals for the Colts by chance?
I don't. I'd have to look at that. I'd have to look.
Which was the question? I could pull it up.
The biggest win totals for the Colts.
I have not even looked at that, to be honest with you. I haven't had a
Vegas?
minute.
Is it Vegas wins total?
Yeah, win totals. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. I don't do a lot of gambling, but my buddy talks about it all the time when it comes to settling bets and all that.
Right.
And I think I swear, I mean, the Colts have to win at least like 12 games this year, at least.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I think Carson Wentz is going to turn it up. He's got his old coach back. That he did really well with the Eagles when he was there. Frank Reich just back. He's with him again. I think in a healthy Carson Wentz that is happy and positive and in the right environment and not feeling the amount of stress that he probably was feeling last year is very dangerous. Like, because we saw it in Philadelphia before he got hurt. I mean, he locked him into the playoffs. A lot of Eagles fans, if you follow their social medias, tend to forget that. They say, well, he didn't play in the Super Bowl. Well, right, but he locked you guys in for the #1 spot to go into the playoffs, and have home field. That's
and I'm looking at Colts schedule right now. They got a tough schedule for this coming year.
Do they?
Let's just if I want to. Okay, I'll just read off the names real quick.
Go for it.
You give me win or lose, okay?
Okay.
We're start. All right. Colts Seahawks game 1.
Win.
I
Wins.
think so too. Yeah, I think Colts win that one. Rams Colts.
Win.
I'd go with win as well.
Oh, that one had me like Stafford. I don't know. Colts Titans.
Win.
That's it. There you go. There's your
loss. I'm going loss
your
to
top
start.
vote. Yeah,
So you're going with your loss there. Okay. All right.
Yep.
I like it.
Dolphins. I think that's a win.
That's a win easily. Yeah.
Ravens.
Loss.
Oh.
See, yeah. Texans win.
Win.
49ers.
Win.
Win.
Titans.
Win.
Win.
We got Jets. That's a win.
I'm gonna just throw this fluke out. That's a loss.
That's a loss. Let's go Jaguars.
Zach Wilson goes off.
That's
Okay.
a loss for me.
It's towards the end of the year where they face, I think, some of them are stiffer competition, like the Bills. So that after the
Oh,
Colts,
fuck.
the Bills.
I can see them losing to the Bills.
I can
Bills
see
have-
losing to the Bills.
Yeah.
They
I
go.
can see
They
that.
go. They go. Bills, Buccaneers. Well, then they win with the Texans. Then they go to the Patriots.
Well, they're beating the Patriots. That's not a.
Yeah,
Tough
they'll beat the
team now.
Patriots.
Cardinals.
That's gonna be a good. See, the Cardinals
That's
are
gonna be a good game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's an overtime game.
Okay. That's good. Oh yeah. Oh, that's Christmas. That's a good game.
That's an
Oh,
overtime game.
Good game.
Merry Christmas to us all.
Wait, that's the prime time. Wow.
That's an overtime
okay.
game, man. That's going in.
5:15.
Yeah.
Well, right there, that's 5 losses right there, right? About
Yeah.
give or take some.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders. So yeah, you're looking at the Colts.
Like it's 12 and 5.
That's their division.
12-5. Yeah, we are all pretty accurate on that.
I'd like to come back to this once the season is ends.
Oh, we will.
Come back and look at.
Oh, yeah.
But that's my prediction is the Colts take that division.
Well, I think John has his Chargers going essentially undefeated, so.
Yeah, that's blasphemy, but yeah, of course.
I wrote down all we did this thing where we did wins and losses for our teams, and John and I both probably said excessive amounts of wins.
I'm just overhyped. Come on, man. What do you got? Get my boy Derwin James back.
5 games and he gets injured again. Yeah.
And that sucks too, man. Like his contract's
Jesus
coming up, and it's like, what are you gonna do with him? Because he's well liked in the league, well respected, but you haven't seen too much of him.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's move
Wait.
on. Let's move on. If that's
One
okay.
second, one second, Mike.
Go ahead.
So, you said you're doing the win totals and for your team. Do you have yourself beating the Bengals week 1?
I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll do a bet on that one too if you were down.
This guy. There it is.
What week was the Bengals?
Week 1, the very first week.
He had a win.
You're gonna have okay. If you want to, I will put a dinner down on that. I'll say the Bengals will beat you guys week 1.
Is that
John?
me? Is that what, me, week 1?
You week
No.
1.
No, Vikings versus Bengals is week 1. So it'd be you, Mike.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like, I didn't think that was my first game.
I think the Vikings will win that game.
So you down for that dinner bet?
Yeah, I'm down for that dinner bet.
All right.
You know what?
Here.
Hot takes here. All right, shakes.
I got Washington football team week 1.
Oh wow.
That's gonna be a fun one.
That's
Ooh,
a tough one.
That's gonna be good.
And then new head coach too. I don't know what to expect.
We'll see. So let's move on to one more thing, which I think is really interesting because we were talking about the Vikings just a second ago. Justin Jefferson has been very quiet over this offseason, as I really like that he's doing that. The Vikings offense has been... The Vikings as a team have been very quiet and trying to work hard and get back on top. They had a lot of defensive signings. The offense was the fourth best offense in the league last year. And that speaks volumes because they had one of the worst offensive lines. The Vikings beefed up their offensive line this offseason.
You guys did.
They made quite a bit of signings at the defensive positions, between Patrick Peterson, Sheldon Richardson, Michael Pierce, Anthony Barr's healthy again. He's fired up to play. Eric Hendricks is ready to go. So they've just been focusing on getting better as a team. But what I think stood out the most is we all know the year that Justin Jefferson had last year. It was incredible. I mean, rookie season, goes and takes all the NFL records for the rookie season. He loses out on Offensive Rookie of the Year to Justin Herbert, which, I mean, we talked about how, like, Justin Herbert's very deserving of it. Typically quarterbacks get those awards.
Does he deserve it, though?
It's just the way...
Are you kidding? that kid was special.
I mean,
as a Charger fan, coming biased, but
easily one of the best races for that award, though, right?
Can't deny Justin Jefferson's talent.
So this whole graph came out within the last week of the top 10 wide receivers in fantasy, and Justin Jefferson was like annoyed at this chart because there were some names on there. I can't remember what the top 10 was, but there were some names on there that were like, they shouldn't even been in the top 15.
Can you name a few? I guess I didn't get to see the list. So
I can't remember. I'd have to find the list.
Is that from last?
There was probably like no, this is like within the last week. There was like 2 to 3 wide receivers on that list that just really kind of blew me away that they were ahead of Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson saw this graph, and he said, "I appreciate the ones that think I won't be as good as I was last year. Y'all are pushing me to an ultimate level, and I thank you for that." So that's all he said about it. I'm excited to see what Justin Jefferson's going to do this year after saying something like that. When this kid came to the team, the first thing he said was, coming from LSU, we won, and I want to be able to bring the first championship to Minnesota. So I know that's a high bar to hold, but I want to hold him to it, and we'll see. I mean, as a Vikings fan, I understand what years of choking feels like, so I would like to see if this guy can rally the team and get him in the right direction. So I thought that was noteworthy. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I, for one, am one of the guys that believes he's going to regress.
Okay.
So, but I'm not saying that he's not going to have a good... And he probably will bring a championship to you guys. Like, he's a very good wide receiver, but I don't think he's going to get 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Fair. Okay, I respect that because that's a tough season. That's a tough season to make. 1,409 yards as a rookie with 8 TDs is a lot. So I agree.
A lot.
I can see that.
I don't know. I'm gonna give benefit of the doubt to the Vikings, and I hope they build a game plan around him. He has to be incorporated in the game plan. He can easily one of the best wide receivers in the league right now. I think he's talented as AF.
He's probably like top 8 for me for sure.
Yeah, that's a fair judgment, I would say, Barrett. I think
Before we
go-
move,
ahead.
has anyone seen him in the rankings? Where is he sitting at as far as
I don't know where he
average
sits in
draft
fantasy
position?
I mean,
rankings.
he's in the second round.
Second round?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen him in like a lot of second or third rounds.
He's going in the same area as like Calvin Ridley and DK Metcalf.
That's right. DK's in like the second or thirds.
DK's the second round. Yep.
Second round.
And actually, DK is my number 1 wide receiver going into next season. So just throwing that one out there for stats. I statted him out in a few other teams, and DK is my number 1 wide receiver for next year.
Yeah, I went DK Ridley in my today's draft that went down.
Oh, that's gonna be a dirty team if you get DK and Ridley as your 2 wide receivers. Who knows, brother?
Yeah, that'd be a good team. Let's keep moving with the ratings. Let's talk about the quarterback ratings.
Talk about it.
Madden 22 overall top 10 quarterbacks has came out. The list is this. Number 1 is Patrick Mahomes with 99 overall, which I mean we all kind of expected and anticipated because of those ridiculous throws that he made during the Super Bowl. Absolute athleticism on his part. Number 2 is Aaron Rodgers with 98 overall. 3 is Russell Wilson with 96 overall. We got Deshaun Watson surprisingly sitting at a number 4 with 94 overall, tied with Tom Brady for 5, at 94 overall. Being that Tom Brady's on the cover, I was a little surprised with him being down in the 5th spot. We have Josh Allen in 93 overall.
That's a big jump for him.
Yeah. 7 is Lamar Jackson with a 90 overall. Dak Prescott sitting with the 89 overall in the 8th spot. Baker Mayfield is sitting in the 9th spot with 87, and Ryan Tannehill is sitting at the 10th spot with an 86 overall. So,
dude, where is Kyler Murray?
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Why is Baker there?
So, I think Baker's there because the Browns had a good season last year. If I had to swap anybody out, I'd probably put Kyler Murray in instead of Lamar Jackson.
Oh man! Whoa, that's okay.
Take him out. Just take him out. Yeah.
Bro, go home, man. You are drunk. You need to go.
Serious. I've never been that impressed with Lamar. He's a great athlete. But a lot of people saying he's the only guy. He's the only guy who can do what he can do. Wrong. Michael Vick. You could go down a whole list of mobile quarterbacks. Colin Kaepernick. We all know what mobility looks like with quarterbacks, and I know that Lamar has one hell of an arm as a quarterback, no doubt. But to put him in this top 10 for Madden 22 overalls is kind of ridiculous to me because you see your guys like Pat. I think the prime examples is like the top 3 that stick out to me are Mahomes, Rodgers, Josh Allen. These guys are mobile, but they're mobile when they have to be. And I think that's the difference maker in my head between them and Lamar is they'll stay in the pocket until there's no pocket. They're like, okay, I gotta go. And that's when they are even more dangerous most of the time is when those guys scramble. I feel like with the Ravens, the way the offenses ran over in Baltimore, Lamar is in a situation where it's like he's always running the ball. He's literally always running, and that's that shouldn't be your first option is to go run when you're a quarterback. And I'm not going to the extent as some people have done, which is idiotic to say, well, Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball, and I'm not saying that because he can.
He had no targets. I want to yes, he is not a very accurate thrower.
Yeah,
but his weapons around him were nothing.
Right.
He had Hollywood Brown, which is a long range guy.
Yeah,
and that's about it. So now that he has Rashad Bateman there, he's Tylan Wallace now, Sammy Watkins now.
Yeah,
I would show up.
I would really like to see one more year before you stick him in this top 10. But I'm never going to go out of my way to say he's a bad quarterback. I'm never going to go out of my way to say that Lamar is a running back. That is disrespectful as all get out. So I'm saying I would take him out of this top 10. Maybe he'd sit in my top 15 if it was a top 15. You know what I mean?
Who would you put in? You said Tannehill or not Tannehill? Who else did you say you're going to replace him with?
I would put Kyler Murray in.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
And surprisingly, while I'm on it, everybody that's listening to this should go check out the Sports Me app that Rumboys Robbie has put together. It's where you can debate sports on there. It's really fun. It's like the TikTok of sports, and really trying to like expand the horizons of this. We debated this actually, and people can jump in and add points to battles. We talked about this with Lamar, and I would put in as the most improved quarterback that we're going to see this year is Cam Newton. I think here's why. So Bill Belichick typically is not a guy of second chances. He doesn't bring you back unless he sees potential. The Patriots had a rough year last year. We all know that. Tom Brady left, went to the Buccaneers, wins the championship. Meanwhile, leaves the Patriots in turmoil. It's a rough season for Bill Belichick. I think that Bill Belichick really believes in Cam Newton's ability, and I think that if there's a head coach in the league that can make an impact on a player, it's definitely Bill Belichick. I think he's a very successful coach. I think he's bringing Cam back for one more year for a reason. I think Cam Newton is definitely going to be in a position to be a top 10 quarterback after the season. I think that they're really going to have a comeback season with
Think they're
Cam.
taking their division?
Yep.
I like the Cam Newton take. I do. But I think his shoulder is collapsed. Like I don't think he can use it anymore. And I love him.
I was just going to say that's why he needs to change the way he plays. But go ahead and finish your thought, Barrett. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I've been a Cam Newton guy from the get go. Like I bought his jersey the rookie year, as authentic jersey. Yeah, so like I've been on the Cam train since he came out, and I think his shoulder is shot, his arm is shot. Like even these guys that they brought in Hunter Henry and they brought in Jonnu Smith and guys to help him out. But like I still don't think it. I think Mac Jones is going to be your quarterback week 6.
I can agree. I can see why people think that too. Is because here's the thing. Like it coincides with what you're saying, Barrett. Is that if Cam doesn't learn, if Cam doesn't grow as a quarterback and learn how to play more safe the way Bill Belichick's going to want him to, Mac Jones is your starter by week 5 or 6, no doubt. And that's why I feel like Cam's fantasy value at quarterback is low. I think Cam's one of those guys that's going to be in the fantasy draft this year. It's going to be if it pans out, he's going to be a high risk, high reward guy.
Yeah, you can still get him for like your last pick in your draft.
Yeah, because I don't see anybody being like jumping the gun for Cam Newton. Yeah.
No, but he had like 12 rushing touchdowns last year too. So like he still has value.
There's football in that. There's football in him left. He just needs to know how that offense runs and play smarter.
The thought of him getting benched baffles me though. It's like wow, like it's that time already. It's that time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, how old am I?
Yeah,
I remember when he came into the league, and now
Cam Newton is getting
supposedly
benched,
on his way out. Like that's nuts.
It's a sad day for a fan of Cam Newton. Like it really does. It hurts. And I will be putting his jersey up in a shadow box and hanging it up on the wall.
Rightfully so. Barrett, I actually have a half Denver and half Colts jersey. It's shadow boxed. As Peyton Manning.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll send you a picture of it.
That's cool. I like that.
So while we're talking graphs to finish up, and then we'll talk about fantasy strategy and just players that we're not all gonna give away our secrets by any means, but I think everybody here is very successful in fantasy football. So just given our records and how well we've all done in every season we played, so we'll put everybody on the hot seat. But speaking on the issue of hot seats, I found this really cool graphic of head coaches on hot seats, and this is kind of what we're looking at right now. So the tier 1 is the best of the best, and that's we've got Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Sean Payton, and Mike Tomlin. According to head coaching tiers, these guys are in a good place. Like Like they are in a really good spot at the moment. They're probably not going to be in the hot seat. Tier 2 is a very good tier. It's Brian Flores, John Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur, Sean McDermott, Bruce Arians for the Bucks, Kevin Stefanski for the Browns, which he had a great year last year, Pete Carroll, and Ron Rivera.
I don't like Bruce Arians there.
Okay.
You don't?
No.
Well, I'm going to ask you where you want him then in a minute. So
Okay.
Tier 3 is for average. It's going to be between Frank Reich, Mike Zimmer, Mike Vrabel,
Oh, Vrabel needs to go up.
Joe Judge, Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff
Kingsbury. Sorry, I read that wrong.
Kingsbury isn't going to be back next year if they don't make the playoffs. Like, I think they're going to get rid of him.
Because they're going to want to win now with Kyler Murray. Yeah.
They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent to not make the playoffs.
Tier 4 is the below average tier. Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, Matt Rule, Vic Fangio, and John Gruden. Vic Fangio. I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
Like, okay, Matt Rule, that's interesting. He's only been there for 1 year. Like, I think that he is very underutilized. Like, he goes into programs and turns them around.
Yeah,
like
he turned more time.
Yeah, like Temple and Baylor and all these other places.
Right?
He turned them around. Like, yeah, so
Well,
I don't know. I think that's pretty. 1 year he kind of wrecks things, and then the second year, like, it's a whole new program. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Carolina in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Tier 5, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. Tier 5 is the unproven or the jury's out, meaning they're gone at the end of this year. The Lions is Dan Campbell, which I think is abrupt because they just signed him this year. So
DC.
Zach Taylor for the Bengals, Nick Sirianni for the Philadelphia Eagles, which I could believe that because the Eagles tend to just give up on people way too quick anyways. Urban Meyer, I don't think that's fair to say he's on a hot seat, which I think is why it says unproven.
Yeah.
David Culley for the Texans. Not much of a. He's a little unproven. I mean, he's got a lot of work ahead of him.
He's got a lot of work.
Yeah, I wish him luck.
Robert Saleh for the Jets.
I love Robert Saleh so much, dude.
Yeah, Robert Saleh. Sorry. Brandon Staley for the Chargers and Arthur Smith for the Falcons. So this is kind of the chart that we're looking at for this. For me, I would say for Tier 1, I think you got to put Bruce Arians up in Tier 1 as best of the best and move Kyle Shanahan down.
I don't know. Kyle Shanahan's been to 2 Super Bowls with 2 separate teams.
Yeah, but the question is have they won? You know what I mean? So I don't know. And I think that's the only changes I would make. I would like to say I'd like to move Sean Payton down 1 spot because the Saints have had a bad history of getting knocked out of the playoffs the past few years. But I mean, they have a good team every year. So.
Every year.
It's true. So I mean, there is that argument.
But when you play like Carolina and Atlanta and like those teams every year, like it's kind of like the Patriots going to the playoffs every year. Like it's
tough.
The product of their division.
Yeah, for real.
You're saying best of the best, top tier. I can't say Sean McVay is the best of the best.
Oh, okay. How come?
This year he might prove you wrong this year.
He could. I'm actually very shocked just to see how kind of LA became a sleeper like as of the seasons. Like they don't scare me like they used to. Aaron Donald, sure, defensively, but offensively, it's kind of no running game. Like you have playmakers, but they're not producing like their Super Bowl run. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different pace of game compared to what they were, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, no, I can see you.
I would, if it's up to me, I'm switching Sean McVay for Bruce Arians, just for Bruce Arians, for what he did with that Tampa Bay team in 1 season.
Barrett, what's your thought on Tier 1?
I think I agree with you on that. The whole Bruce Arians has to go up.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, I think Bruce Arians deserves it. Like he proved that he's successful everywhere he goes.
Yeah, pretty much. Tier 2 let's go into tier 2. What do we think on tier 2, fellas? Does anything need to be changed, I guess, that we already haven't stated?
And my thing just closed out, so I don't even know who's in that one.
I'll read it out for you.
You go.
Brian
Okay.
Flores for the Dolphins, John Harbaugh for the Ravens, Matt LaFleur for very good for the Packers, Sean McDermott for the Bills, Bruce Arians for the Bucks, Kevin Stefanski for the Browns, Pete Carroll is obviously for the Seahawks, and Ron Rivera for the Washington football team.
I also think Pete Carroll needs to go up.
Yeah.
Like, I think Pete Carroll is, like, everybody's saying that he might lose his job. I don't see how. Like, he is that coach that the Seattle runs through him. Like,
I respect that take completely. I think the only reason people think that Pete Carroll and that his time with Seahawks is coming to a close is that they don't have the Legion of Boom anymore. That the team has had a little more struggles. That it
A little
seems like
riff-raff in the offseason, too, as far as...
him and Russell aren't getting along. Yeah, like you were saying, John.
they brought it in, like, off it. Like, they didn't bring in Gabe Jackson. They traded for Gabe Jackson, I believe. Or no. Who did they bring in? They brought in one of the Raiders guys. One of their offensive linemen. I can't remember which guy.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying now. I know what you're talking about, too.
They traded for, like, a fourth rounder for him. Like, it was
slips my
nothing.
mind. Yeah, it slips my mind. Any disagreements on tier 2 though, other than that we listed?
No. Sean McDermott, rather, is one that's growing on me daily. Like, he turned that Bills team to nothing to a perennial playoff team.
Insanely good.
Who doesn't love watching Bills football?
Right? Like, now their football is as fun to watch as their.
You want to watch it. You want to watch their fan base.
Exactly.
You see a Bills game, you're like, I'm watching that one this weekend.
Be a Bills fan right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a Bill. Like, someone told me that, yeah, I'm a Bills fan. I'm like, oh, what? Okay, cool.
You make me want to jump off the table on fire.
Let's go. Let me show you what it's about.
I'll give you that one, Michael. I don't think I ever want to jump off of anything onto a flaming table ever. So I'm glad that you got that feeling from somebody.
You can just record me doing it, and then you make sure you got a fire extinguisher nearby.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna ask you how to patch up that wound afterwards.
That's not actually happening, chat. So, just yeah, it's not happening. So tier 3.
Chat, if you want this to happen, put a Y in chat.
So the tier 3 average, I'm really iffy on this one. I think Frank Reich needs just a little more leeway here. Like they had a good year with Phillip Rivers last year.
Playoff run.
I really don't feel like that's fair to have him in the average area right now, because I would say that was very good of how they handled that team last year, and you only upgraded your team now, so we'll see what happens with the Colts. Mike Zimmer, I love my Vikings. He's a good coach. I'm very.
You guys lost that Seahawks game last year because of Zimmer.
Yeah, so this is where I'm going with this, right? So I've been a Vikings fan my whole life, and I'm grateful for what Mike Zimmer did when he came to this team. To the deepest depths of my heart, like I really am. Like, we've had a great defense pretty much every year that Mike Zimmer's been around. But god dang it, man, we have blown some serious games to put us over the next level and to shift momentum to finish the season, such as the field goal. I mean, why would you make that decision? There's no explanation. I know he defended it at the press conference, but I still don't stand with that choice. The talent the Vikings have had the last 5 years is inexcusable to not even make an NFC Championship and win it and get to the Super Bowl. It's not. You need to do your job as a head coach, and the job hasn't been done right. And I think this is a big year for Mike Zimmer, especially with having prolific receivers like Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, having a prolific running back like Dalvin Cook, and having a backup like Alexander Mattison, beefing up the O line the way you did. Mike Zimmer said himself he cannot live with the defense that they had last year. They were allowing 35-plus points a game, and Kirk Cousins was still balling out last year. I really think I would slip Mike Zimmer down to tier 4, below average, though. And if he can't get the job done, We need to go get a head coach that's actually gonna like.
Oh, he's on the hot seat
take
for
it
you, pretty
serious.
much.
Yeah, he's got to be in the hot seat, at least for me. So
Okay.
Respect.
All right.
Respect.
Mike Vrabel, I think that's a little.
Go up.
I wouldn't.
Go
I
He
up.
needs to
I'd
go
put
up,
him
dude.
up.
In the second tier right now. He took over the Titans, and that's a dirty team now.
That's a stud team, bro. Like, how do you put them in average? Like,
Mike Vrabel will suit up and go bang with him. Like that dude is.
give me the pads. Just
Yeah,
Thanos.
it's
I'll do
fun
this
to watch.
myself.
It's fun to watch him like just coach. From
He
a
cares,
player.
man. He
He
cares.
does. He gets
And-
it. He's not far off from when he was playing.
And what's
You know?
fun is when the matchups between him and Bill Belichick.
Right.
He knows
and he
how
gets it every time.
he
Yeah.
knows how Bill Belichick operates, and he's like, "Hey, thanks, coach."
I love it. I absolutely love Vrabel. Vrabel's probably one of my favorite head coaches now. And the Titans team is scary because of him. It really is.
Yeah.
I'd move Cliff Kingsbury up for the Cardinals. I think that's kind of a wrong spot for him to be, but that's just me.
He hasn't really done anything to prove anything yet, though.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose. But he's got he. I think after this year would be probably the right time to move him up. If they.
And he did trade for New Hawkins for dirt cheap.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Like, that was the dirtiest trade I've ever seen in my life, and kudos to him. He did it.
Well done.
Doritos.
Well
Yeah.
done. Looking at Joe Judge, I think the Giants is kind of tough to gauge at this point. We got to give the Giants a little more time because they had a lot of head coaching switches the past couple of years, so we'll see.
Exciting gameplay towards the end of the season, though.
Tyler-
Yeah, they're fighting for a position. Like, they wanted to win their division.
Tyler the Kid says, well, at least Mike Tomlin made it into the top tier. I don't agree with that. I think he should be lower. I mean, he should be in very good. I wouldn't put him as best.
Product of the teams that have been around him. Like, it's the Steelers. The Steelers have had such a great culture for the past 20 years.
So
I can't wait. I personally big huge fan of Mike Tomlin. I like him.
I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a great coach. I just don't know if I would put him at best of the best. Maybe that's who I would swap out is him and Bruce Arians. I don't know.
You drop him down because he tripped Jacoby. What's his Jacoby?
That was funny. I thought it was more funny than anything.
What was that guy's name? It was Jacoby something, wasn't it?
I can't remember who he tripped, but I remember watching that play.
Yeah, Jacoby Jones.
Jacoby Jones. There we go.
Yeah,
Like, you can't do that.
The following season I was like, yeah, we dropped him too. He tripped him. What a guy.
Yeah. See, okay, he deserves a demotion just for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
He tripped the player.
I've totally spaced that until now. We started talking about Tomlin.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
oh
where
my
I'm
god.
like, that's where I'm like, morally,
time.
maybe he needs to go down to very good because he's a damn good coach. But morally, maybe he just needs to go down a bit.
Wants to win.
So much hate in the
That's
chat.
my kind of coach.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So we've talked about the unprovens a little bit. There's not much to talk about with those guys because they're all so new. I think one that's notable, the two that are notable in the below average, is Mike McCarthy and Matt Nagy. If this does not work with the Bears in the future, Matt Nagy's gone.
Yeah.
I think Justin Fields just saved him, though. I honestly do.
Hopefully.
Justin Fields is scary. Like, I love Justin Fields. I don't know what Denver was thinking by not taking him at 9 this year.
Yeah.
But we had the option to, and we didn't.
I think what happens is these teams, like, they realize that they made a mistake, but they also have in the back of their head, well, if we go draft another guy, how does that look on our end that we don't that looks like we don't trust our guy? So
Why don't you trust our guy? Drew Lock is poop.
Yeah, Drew Lock is poop. Yeah, I mean, but like I was actually saying on the Sportsman app that if Drew Lock doesn't have a good year this year, he won't play for another team. Like, he won't. It won't happen.
No, he'll be sweeping up the stadiums after the games. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you allow him back in that stadium.
Drew Lock.
The last chart that we have is the 2021 team tiers. So this is what we've seen so far. So the Super Bowl favorites going into this year actually are the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Buccaneers, the Packers, which I mean,
You got to move them down due to the Rodgers situation.
I'd put them down into contenders, but not where they're the favorite. And then the Los Angeles Rams. My thought,
No love, man.
I'll keep it short. My thought on this is that the Rams being up there is, thanks Tyler. My thought on the Rams is, you signed Matthew Stafford, and you gave a lot away for Matthew Stafford. So, I mean, you're gonna sit in the bet that you made. So I would put them as a contender. I would not put them in as a Super Bowl favorite. If I had to bump anybody into the Super Bowl favorites, I'd probably go Tennessee.
I just throw one, like, I'm probably dark horse. Probably nobody ever is gonna say it, but
Do it.
the Browns.
Yeah, I commend you for that, because I was gonna say that and then I backed out and I said Titans. So
No, the Browns, man. I can definitely see the Browns making it. Like, I really can. Like,
they're a good team.
I think their defense got hella good this year. Like,
They're getting OBJ back.
They just keep getting better.
They do.
Their playoff run last season I was rooting for them.
Me too. Like, I thought they were gonna beat the Chiefs. I really did.
I really did. I was hoping they were gonna actually a little bit.
And then for the other side, though, I still think like the Rams are probably the one that I'm choosing to go. Like, the Rams and the Browns are going to be my Super Bowl picks for this year.
Okay. While we're on that topic, my Super Bowl picks is going to be. I got to think for division. It's probably going to be Kansas City. I think they'll make it back after the showing of last year. I think Mahomes is going to be really hungry to do better. It's going to be a close matchup between Buffalo and KC again to get into it, but I'm going to say KC's going to pull it off. They're going to get in, and on the NFC side of it, looking at the graph, I'd love to say my Vikings.
Homer.
But that's a homer pick. Yeah. My non-homer pick, Cardinals.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Cardinals are gonna have a good year with Kyler Murray and their running backs and everything. They're gonna have a good year. So we'll see.
John, what you thinking?
Yeah.
What? Sleeper pick for Super Bowl?
Super Bowl picks.
Picks in general.
Picks in general. Damn. I don't like this game. Jesus. If I'm looking at everybody, of course I want to see my team, but realistically, I'm fighting for that wild card spot. Who's going to be the best next year? I can see Tampa Bay going back in it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I can too.
Yeah, I could see that. Damn, dude. I looking at the top. AFC. So okay, you got them representing the NFC. If I had to choose an AFC representative,
Picture this while you think about it.
Okay, please.
Picture the Buccaneers and the New York Giants playing each other to go to the Super Bowl.
What?
And the Giants beat the Bucs.
What?
and that's how Tom Brady goes out.
Dude, I don't know what you're smoking, but I want some.
It ain't gonna happen, but I'm just saying it'd be funny as hell.
Well, it's not Eli Manning anymore, though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like, Eli was his kryptonite, so I don't know.
Well, Daniel Jones is like his Dumb and Dumber little brother, lookalike.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Daniel Jones is fast, man. He's a good athlete. I mean, he has not skipped a day in the gym in the off season, but like he looks like Lloyd.
It does. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he runs 23 miles an hour though and trips on the 5-yard line. So
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. John,
I'm looking
you
at
got
it.
your pick?
You know what? I'm gonna throw my dark horse in there. I think Tennessee is pretty loaded.
okay, so Tennessee versus the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can see that
Okay, I
happening.
like that.
If I'm not being a homer, but that's a team I think is pretty well balanced, and I think can get there.
Yeah, and they brought in Bud Dupree now and all these other guys. Like, yeah,
Like
they got a good defense now.
studs. That would be my dark horse. Let's see that happen.
Oh,
So
I like that. Can we write those down, Mike?
yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it right now.
We'll come
Sadly,
back
for my
to it.
sadly for my team, I don't know what Staley has in store for us. In general, I can only imagine, with the Vic Fangio defense, with the Saints offense, it can work. It can happen. It can happen.
So who did I pick? I picked Kansas City and the Cardinals, right?
Yes, you did. Yep. And then I went with the Browns versus the Rams.
And
Brownies versus the Rams, huh?
just looking at this map, though, I think Barrett's team needs some love. I think he can wipe those teams. Denver needs to be up there a little higher.
Yeah, that's not the right spot for Denver.
Even though we have Drew Lock, we can still win
So
9 to 10 games and still be in the playoffs.
took us to the house last year. That was
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't want to be a homer, but I think that our team is a lot better than people think it is. And
Yeah.
Courtland Sutton is a legit #1 wide receiver, and not having him for the whole year last year was pretty hard.
Yeah.
But now we have.
both.
When that guy's healthy, he's dangerous, man.
He is, dude. He's a monster. Him and Jerry Jeudy. That's a hella good tandem in the NFL right now.
I'd maybe take out the 49ers as a contender and put Minnesota up into the contenders. That's where I would say I'd put them.
Now, does the addition of Trey Lance change your mind on that, though?
No, because he's probably not going to set foot on the field this year. It's gonna be probably Jimmy Garoppolo's last year as a Niner.
They traded up so much to get him, though.
I mean, right. I think if Jimmy G can't stay healthy or he's just not playing well, then yeah, you obviously put Trey in because you see the value in him, and I think Trey is a great prospect for the NFL. I think he's one of the most NFL ready guys. Like even the way he just plays, he makes smart choices. But I don't know. We'll see. Out for now. For now, I would take out. I'd put Minnesota up with their offensive players that they have listed compared to the Niners, even though the Niners have some studs on that roster. So that's where I'm at with it.
I think your defenses are pretty much comparable.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Very much.
And I don't know. I'd give them you a slight edge over offense, but not by a whole lot, dude.
Not by a ton. Yeah.
Like I love Ayuk and I love Deebo Samuel, and I think Kittle is probably one of the best tight ends in the league, if not the best tight end in the league.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
They had that tight end camp that they put together.
Yeah, they did.
That's not good for any defenders. I'm gonna tell you that.
No,
if they all get on the same game plan, the tight end's about to take over the league.
Yeah, I think Darren Waller went to that thing too, huh?
Darren Waller, Kittle, Kels.
Yeah, those guys that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good thing for the tight ends in the league. I didn't even think about that. Like those guys are gonna know how to play a lot better at that position.
So next episode, do you guys want to talk about Kyle Pitts?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
John?
What's up?
You want to talk about Kyle Pitts next episode?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. So let's close out the last 10 minutes with some small fantasy conversation, maybe 10, 15, 20. We'll see where it goes. We don't want to get too long. So,
what are we at?
Do you mind if I bring up a fantasy question I have?
Yeah, we're at a recording wise, we're at like an hour and a half, but there's about 10 minutes of prep, so we're probably like an hour 20.
Wow, it's a long episode. Okay, cool.
But yeah, they normally run about an hour and a half ish. So.
All right. So during my fantasy little draft today,
yeah,
are there any Houston Texans that we can keep an eye on that would be worth worth looking at. Late
Brandon
round player.
Cooks.
Cook.
Brandon, yes. That's the only guy that I'm really looking. If you really want to get cute with it, they did draft Nico Collins,
Okay.
and I think he's going to surpass a lot of the people on their depth chart. They spent one of their 4 draft picks on a wide receiver. So that, I don't know, if you only have 4 draft picks, you spend one on a wide receiver and one on a quarterback. I don't know. That's something I'm looking into. But Brandon Cooks, though, he's so late inside drafts. Like, take a flyer on him, and you can easily have him as your wide receiver, 4 or your flex some weeks. So.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Anyone? Are we looking at? Can we take anyone in the backfield?
David Johnson.
Yeah, you
David
could
Johnson,
maybe.
Phillip Lindsay.
I feel like you could get
hate
one
that.
of the. I feel like.
Forget that.
I hate that because I love Phillip Lindsay.
I did too. I can't believe that. I thought he was number 1. I thought I thought y'all should have shipped out Melvin.
I agree with you. But like with Lindsay, I don't think that he has a clear role in this backfield.
Yeah.
Like David Johnson's a better pass catcher.
Yep.
So is Mark Ingram, as bad as people say he is.
Mark Ingram's there too. Like that's so loaded.
Their backfield is actually pretty good.
They brought in Rex Burkhead as well.
Yeah.
So
They got
So
4
where does-
pretty solid guys.
yeah, so where does Phillip Lindsay go? Like David Johnson had running back 2 numbers last year. As people thought that he was bad, but actually, if you had David Johnson in your flex every week, you were pretty happy.
Okay.
Honestly, I would say for me, for the Texans, out of all those guys that we just listed, I'm probably gonna trust David Johnson the most. I mean, legitimately, because like the biggest injury he's had is probably his broken wrist, right?
Yep.
So I mean, it's like now that he's there, he's healthy. I think David Johnson is kind of a scary guy to look out for. I think if you were at fantasy value, you could probably like get him in the later rounds of your drafts and.
And I can't pull it up anymore, but I'm pretty sure I got David Johnson at like the 120th pick or 130th pick. So
Yeah, they were there late, and so was Phillip Lindsay. And I was just I pulled the trigger on. I would have pulled the trigger on Lindsay. I think he's a better ball player than people think.
Yeah,
I was hoping that he would have went to the Jets.
I think what helps Phillip Lindsay is that if he's actually
young.
like given a clear cut role, like this is who you are, this is what type of back you're gonna be in this offense, this is where we're gonna use you. I think he plays better that way, and I think that when Denver got Melvin Gordon, that really just set Lindsay on a course that was like, well, where do I belong? You know what I mean? Do you agree with that, Barrett, or like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 110%. It took pretty much his whole role, like the pass catching role, and he didn't really catch a lot of passes in the first place.
Yeah.
But he was highly effective with them.
Right.
Hard.
Now, now he was delegated to third down running back, and he didn't do a whole hell of a lot.
Right.
I'm trying to look right here to see what numbers he had. Yeah, he only caught 35 passes on both of his years that he was the main guy there.
Yeah.
So he really doesn't have a catching role. Like I love Phillip Lindsay. But the thing is, he's super effective. You can give him 170 rushing yards or 170 rushing attempts, excuse me, and he could still break 1,000 yards.
I think
so.
Honestly,
I don't know, man. I think he could be uber efficient, and they do have Laramie Tunsil there to be his left tackle. So
while we're talking running backs, and this will be the question for running backs tonight for fantasy. If you guys could pick between 3 backs that were available for you at your position to pick, are you going Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, or Alvin Kamara?
Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is right now. If he stays healthy for 16 games, I have him for 333 rushing attempts.
Monster.
Monster.
I had him
Cook,
last
Henry.
year.
Cook, Henry, and then the other.
You're going who, John?
I'm going Cook, Henry, Kamara.
Yeah, me too. That's where in my rankings that I'll be releasing later on, I actually have Dalvin Cook as my number 1 running back on the year. So
for me, this sounds bad, but I'm probably gonna go Derrick Henry. I think with the receiving core that the Titans have, It's going to open the run game up a lot, and we already know when the run game is not open for the Titans, it's pretty much open. Because Derrick Henry just steals the manhood away from anyone that tries to tackle him.
And nobody can go against him with open boxes. Like there's not going to be anybody crowding the box.
Right.
You give that moon space, he's gonna run you over.
And I mean, if Derrick Henry wasn't there for me, I'd probably go Dalvin Cook then. I know everyone's gonna say, well, Alvin Kamara's had a better. Like, I got into an argument with some guy in like this NFC elite group on Facebook. And we were talking about who's better between Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara. And we were talking about this for a bit, and I was like, so you mean to tell me that you think Alvin Kamara is a better running back when he had one massive game against the Vikings' atrocious defense last year, stat-wise, and Dalvin Cook still had more yards, more attempts, like, because they trust him more, and it's not necessarily a running back by committee, but more touchdowns, more yards, more receiving yards. Because like what got brought up in the argument was, okay, we'll bring up Dalvin Cook's receiving yards compared to Kamara's, and then the guy did it in the comment section, and he was like, well, that was easy, because it was like 500 yards over what Kamara had last year. And I think the state of the New Orleans offense, and like being between quarterbacks and not really, I guess that offense is going to take on a new identity, and Saints fans need to keep that in the back of their heads, is that you don't have Drew Brees anymore. You don't have the game manager that you had in Drew Brees. Like, he's not there. You're down to Jameis interception Winston and Taysom Gadget Hill, which Jameis, we all know,
Eaton wins.
had LASIK. He had LASIK done. So we do need to discuss the fact that, well, maybe Jameis was like chucking the ball to a direction that he thought was right, but like he was making bad decisions. Like that was like putting my grandfather on the field and hoping that he would make a good decision. Like
quarterback, man,
who to throw to. But I mean, he essentially was blind. So maybe from what we've seen,
coach, I can't even see.
What we've seen of his training camp is Jameis is throwing dimes. Even though the Saints signed Taysom to a big contract. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be taking Alvin Kamara in a hurry right now.
Was Jameis being bad for the Buccaneers? Was that on Jameis, or was that him just being like too stupid to realize that he cannot run Bruce Arians' offense?
See, that's a fair argument.
Like I don't think LASIK does much. I think he's just not a very good quarterback. He don't have it in between his ears.
And I'm right with you. Barrett. I've never been a big Jameis Winston fan since he came into the league. I think that
he stole crab legs.
Like,
can't do that.
Stop that.
Well, yeah, I remember that.
The man stole crab legs.
That's a long time ago. That's not the Jameis we have now. Jameis Winston.
It's not that long ago. Let's be real here.
Jameis Winston is a respectable NFL player at this point. He's gotten his life together.
He stole crab legs. Those W's, he eats them W's on a daily basis.
We'll see, though. I just don't think the Saints' offense is anything I want to dive right into.
No. And Kamara, like, he could have a repeat of what happened in 2019 where he only scored 4 times.
Yeah. That
is a very likely possibility.
It is. And if you look at the numbers last year, God, it slips my mind right now. The running back the Vikings had, and now he's a Saint. I can't think of his name.
Is it Ham?
No, it's
Anthony Boone?
Latavius Murray?
Murray.
Yes.
Latavius Murray, he really cuts into Kamara's running attempts. Rushing attempts, sorry. He really cuts into that quite a bit. And if they use him, they use Latavius Murray at the goal line quite a bit. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really heavily into Alvin Kamara's production value going into this year. I'm granted, like, if there's nobody available and you need a good running back, you're obviously going to get Alvin Kamara if those other guys aren't available. I just wanted to hear where you guys were at fantasy value for running backs for between those three.
Yeah, no. So I would actually have Christian McCaffrey. Like,
yeah,
out of those,
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Where would you have, like, say you've had the option with Christian McCaffrey and those 3 other guys? Who are we
1 and
going
2.
for?
God, that just made the question 10 times harder. I probably in order for me, I'd probably be looking at Derrick Henry first, Dalvin Cook second.
C-Mac 3, huh?
And I'd have C-Mac 3 in solely because of this reason. He was hurt last year. But he'd still be a high draft pick. Like, I wouldn't let him sit. I would eventually be like, okay, now it's time to get him. Like, 3rd, 4th round.
Interesting. I like it. I haven't statted out the Panthers yet. That's on my list to do here, but we still got a couple months out, so I got a little bit of time to do these.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on to quarterbacks. If you guys, let's pose the question this way. Top 5 quarterbacks for fantasy value. Go. Let's start with you, John.
Top 5 quarterbacks for fantasy value.
Yep.
Oh, we got Patrick Mahomes, number 1. I will go Josh Allen.
Okay.
I like his production. I'll have Russell Wilson in there.
Okay. Yeah, he's a point guy.
Top 3, if I'm thinking. I'm gonna have Justin in there.
Herbert at 4.
I'm gonna have
Oh,
Herbert.
boy.
I'm gonna have Herbert in. Oh wait,
We had this discussion earlier. Do you still want to do the water bet over Dak versus Justin Herbert?
I think. Yeah, I'm with Herbert. I like Herbert all day, every day, 10 times.
That little nose snipple. This is war.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Rodgers too. I think Rodgers is up there. I'm putting Herbert last, but I think Rodgers is up there.
Okay, I like that.
With Packers, with Denver, doesn't matter.
Okay, cool.
For me personally, I have Kyler Murray as my number 1.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like it.
Number 2, I have as Mahomes.
Okay.
3 is Lamar.
Okay.
4 is Dak.
Okay.
And 5 I have is Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Okay.
And then 6 right now is actually Jalen. Jalen Hurts is my 6th quarterback right now, just due to his running upside.
Okay. Sure.
I'm calling it right now. I'm gonna say this is his breakout year. I think he's gonna have a breakout like Lamar Jackson kind of esque year. Jalen Hurts as my 6.
Interesting. This is the year he blows up.
Okay.
Yes, dude, he was on pace for 1,200 rushing yards last year.
Was he?
And he didn't even play a full season.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He only played 6 games, and I'm pretty sure he rushed for I want to say close to 500 yards or something like that.
And they got Devontae Smith.
Yes.
So that's a huge pickup.
Yeah, that's how do you spell Jalen Hurts?
JALEN HURTZ.
Okay. I cannot type to save my life. Let's see here. Rushing. He had 63 rushing attempts last year for 354 yards.
Okay.
So.
I can respect it. My top 5 quarterbacks, I would say, is going to be Mahomes is obviously going to be. He's going to be right there. Even if I can or can't get him, he's right up in the top 5. He's number 1.
Okay. I like that.
I'm going to stick with Josh Allen being a number 2. I'm going to throw in Kyler Murray at 3.
Okay. I like that.
My 4th guy, I'm going to go on a limb, and I really think that this is going to be kind of. I just want to mix it up a bit. Trevor Lawrence for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow, that is the boldest take I've ever heard.
I'm just doing it because
he is the guy.
I'm just doing it because, and I think that Urban Meyer has some big plans with him. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would like to see it. So I'll put Trevor Lawrence would be a top 5 fantasy quarterback going into next year. Probably he'll be a number 4 guy. And then I'll probably put Aaron Rodgers at a fit in that 5th spot.
He has to have a crazy season that Lawrence.
Yeah.
He needs
He needs an all-star
Oh God.
MVP playoff run. He takes
Herbert's my 6. Herbert's my 6.
I'm with that.
I need. Okay, I'll go with this much and say that Joe Burrow is ahead of
You know,
Herbert.
I didn't even think about that. Joe Burrow.
I've Joe Burrow ahead of Herbert this year for my rankings. Just because the fact that I think the Chargers are not going to be down every single game, and they're not going to be having to throw nearly as much.
That's possible. Yeah.
You know, Staley's a defensive quarterback. You know, quarterback, defensive coach. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that, and our defense is going to have to. It's going to be better in a sense. But with the Drew Brees-esque offense, it's exciting. I'm excited as a Chargers fan.
So to close things up, boys, what we're going to do is we are going to give one tip of fantasy advice of what you would tell somebody who is new to fantasy football. So I remember when I was in fantasy football, I was first starting, I had a terrible first season. And the reason I had a terrible first season was I didn't understand it. And what I did was I drafted, I think, every freaking Vikings player you could get because they had a good team with Adrian Peterson. The list goes on and on. They had a crazy good team. But what I didn't understand about fantasy football is that you have to put away the fandom just for your seasons in there. Like, it doesn't mean you put it away when the season is on the line. Like 10 out of 10 times, I'm gonna want my Vikings to win and go win the Super Bowl versus my fantasy team winning that week. Like, I'd pull for my fantasy team. I would pull for my real team versus my fantasy team, no doubt. I think as any of us would.
It's fantasy all the way for me. I don't care about my real team, to be honest. I'm just kidding.
When you've never seen your team win a Super Bowl, it's tough. You know, like, I think after they've won a Super Bowl, maybe a little more emphasis on your fantasy team is there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'll put it that way. But my one tip for anybody, it's kind of a mixed tip, is to really focus on having a diverse team throughout the league instead of just focusing on the team that you naturally support as your favorite team. And in terms of draft, don't get stressed out during the draft because there's plenty of great players on the board, even if the guy that you wanted is gone. Don't let people get in your head. Like, just slow down, take a few deep breaths. You're gonna have time between the rounds of when your next pick is. If the guy that you wanted is gone and the next guy's gone, like, just keep reassessing as you go, because fantasy's crazy. Things happen to star players, like, and you just got to keep going and chugging along in that draft. So don't get stressed out and just don't make sure to not, like, adore your team too much in fantasy. Put it that way.
All right.
Let's go with you, Barrett.
Mine is the tight end position. Unless you get the top 3 tight ends, just take a shot at a late round tight end. It's not worth it. Like, you're more ought to get a successful tight end in late rounds that are 8+ than you are in those middle rounds. Yeah. And those middle rounds are so much more value when it comes to your core positions. Like, you need depth more than you need a tight end because the position really isn't valuable. Unless you have Kittle, Waller, or Kelsey, don't overdraft a tight end hoping to get anything off of it.
I think that's really good advice because the tight end is a strange position in fantasy where it's like, yeah, what you're saying, if you can't get a top 3 guy, you know, that's going to be a guy that, like, I mean, me and John had to do it all last year where you try and fill in the gap when you don't have you don't have your Darren Waller, you don't have George Kittle, you don't have Travis Kelce, you don't have Gronk even. Like, you don't have those guys. Like, you got to just try to find someone that you can see that's productive. So
you can stream it. Yep. Streamable position.
Yep.
And it's fun.
Johnny boy, what are your thoughts? What's your tip?
A tip for drafting? Just have fun, man. Feel the room. You got to feel the room out too. How are people flying off the boards? If they start taking quarterbacks, just go grab your quarterback.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I had someone like last season where a first timer went and started drafting quarterbacks. I was like, oh shoot, here we go. Like, this is the wrench that we weren't ready for.
And that always happens too.
Yeah, and And just don't be content with your team. I personally believe that the game is won during those waiver wires, during those weeks.
Yes.
You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win the draft, but you definitely can lose. You definitely can. I mean, like you can't like your team is not gonna be the same that it starts off with.
Yeah, and I love
League is,
that. Go ahead,
oh, sorry.
Barrett. No,
The
go.
league isn't won at the draft.
No,
Yeah.
No, it's draft. It's your trades. It's your waiver wire pickups. It's everything. It's injuries. Your team that you have when you draft is not the team that you're going to go into the championship with.
It's actually really quite fun to like go back to because whatever you go through, like I go through ESPN and Yahoo, it's quite fun to go back to like what your draft team looked like to
started.
what you're like, wow, I got rid of everybody.
Think of last year with all the injuries that were riddled.
COVID,
the carousel in San Francisco. Oh my goodness!
like the COVID like stuff that was going on with players just randomly testing positive, even if they weren't sick. Like it is crazy. So your team will look different by the end of it, and like evaluate your trades.
I know you're talking draft here, but also a word of advice I'd like to encourage people is don't give up. Don't give up
Yeah.
on your weeks. Give your opponent an honest fight, even if you're down and out. Just try. It's a lot more fun. It's a game, and it makes it fun for everyone. You're not the only one that's out, and we want you to have fun. So just don't quit.
Yeah,
Give up
and
on yourself.
I love that because a lot of people do that. They give up on their team, and not only are you giving up on your team, but you're giving up on your league, and you're kind of giving away some wins to other teams because by not making adjustments to your team. I think with the apps that we have now, truthfully, it takes 5 to 10 minutes a week to update your roster.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 minutes if you're looking at waiver wires. Like it doesn't take much. Like you literally like just have to go adjust it really quick, and believe in yourself. And honestly, I can tell you, like in our ESPN league last year that me and John were in, these people we had a couple people in the league that literally just they didn't keep up with their team, and or no, not that was not in our league, John. That was in another league I was in. In our league, we had guys that had like literally an awful record, and it just came down to the fact that they had their matchup go down to that 1 point, and this happened to them week after week after week. Like they would lose their matchup based off of just 1 point.
Few points.
Like you're only a few points away from having a really solid record, and that's just how fantasy goes sometimes. Like you can be in the final 30 seconds of a game and then have your opponent score a touchdown with 2 seconds left in the game, and now you just lost that week.
It's come down to decimals, like honestly, 0.08 points, 1 point, like it's fun, don't give up, keep it honest, give it an honest fight every week. You do your best.
Stay headstrong. So
and at the end of the week, it's a game. Like you're there to have fun, so don't get too lost into it. Like it's a game,
Yeah, 100%. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and close out. So we're gonna do some plugs. We're gonna thank a couple sponsors for the stream, and then we'll end this fun show that we had today. So Barrett, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've never been here before, and if you haven't made your Twitter handle yet, that's what if you can see it on the screen, his Twitter handle is @Barrett, BARRETT_RZFF, which is Red Zone Fantasy Football. Tell us a little bit about you, what Red Zone Fantasy Football is, and what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah, so I will be starting Red Zone Fantasy Football with my buddies. Probably we're going to have our first episode probably late August, early September. We're just going to go and do like weekly matchups, start sit decisions. We're also going to have all of our rankings up. So we're going to have 3 analysts with full rankings on every single team. All fantasy relevant players are going to be statted out for the whole year, so you can see what we're thinking of and who are some of our guys that we're hot on and who was some that we're not. Basically, we're just going to have a good time, try and help some people win some championships. between the three of the analysts, we have 4 championships in the past 5 years. So, good talks, good information. We'd love to see you all come on. Thank you very much for having me on, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, man. Like, this has been such a fun episode. We love having a guest on, and especially, you know, when they're knowledgeable. Like, Rumboys Ravi is extremely knowledgeable. He has his own company with the Rumboys Fantasy Network, and to have you come on with what your projects are, so that's cool. John, tell the people where they can find you.
Hey everyone, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Sauce, playing some World of Warcraft, some Warzone. Just you're having a good time. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, if you want to keep up with me there. It's all on my Twitch. But yeah, honestly, Barrett, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a blast. I hope you come back more. If not, you know, let's make it a regular thing, dude.
Yeah.
I'm down, dude. I'm so down. Plus, I'm gonna send you a video of me eating your pizza that you're buying me. So
yeah, I gotta see it. Tag me in it.
that or he's gonna be tagging you in it.
I'm down, man. I'm down. I love text stuff.
A little football, just a little tidbit shout out. There's some really good football media going on right now. If you guys on YouTube, if you're interested in the Jets, they got this thing called they're following behind the scenes on Robert Saleh. If you guys, it's noteworthy. I'm enjoying it. I think you guys should check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to go look.
It's a weekly show. It's kind of like the Hard Knocks that they just announced with the Cowboys again.
Yeah.
Trash. But yeah. But yeah,
Slipped in trash really quick there.
Go ahead and check out that. I thought it was a good time. I think if you guys football heads, you might enjoy the Jets behind the scenes with Robert Saleh on his first year. And then they just did the Hello Rookie. Hey Rookie, welcome to the NFL thing by NFL Media. Good watch.
Oh, well, thank you.
There you go.
All right.
So for me, guys, I'm at twitch.tv/The Avenger. I'm a variety streamer. I play lots of different games. We've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves lately. And, of course, doing our usual episodes of Nerd Sports Zone with John and Mike. And then also doing the Nerd Rebellion podcast, where we haven't gotten too many episodes of that in, but we're going to be discussing Loki, Black Widow, some things coming up there with all the right people for that. Again, if you ever question if this is sound advice, John took third, I took first. John almost beat me last year. Barrett has done very well in a lot of his leagues. I think he's won his league a few times. I'm joining actually a Dynasty League with Barrett here this year.
You guys got a spot?
I'd like to broadcast that. If you guys are down after our draft, we can go over our teams and everything like that. That'd be kind of fun, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me know if you get an extra spot.
Yeah.
I'd be interested.
I was going to reach out to John about that. If you had room.
That'd be kind of fun.
I've never done Dynasty. I've always wanted to, but I could never find a league that lasts.
Welcome to it. This will be my third Dynasty League, and I have three Dynasty Leagues, 2 keepers, and then I have about 4 or 5 other ones that I do per month, or per year rather. Wow. So I do about 9 leagues per year.
You guys can follow all that stuff. Go ahead and follow at NerdAvenge, at The Sauce, at Barrett_RZFF once that Twitter handle's made. The sponsors I want to thank for the stream, check out Nerd or Die if you're in the chat. If you stream or are looking to do something to upgrade your stream, you'll select that link, you'll get a code, get 20% off on the stream layout that you're looking at. If you like energy drinks, check out Raise Energy. You'll go ahead and get 15% off at that link in the chat or in the About panels. If you're not watching this, type in code The Avenged Nerd, all caps. You'll get 15% off there. If you work out, they have a lot of supplements of protein powders and energy drinks in cans or to-go packets with 0 carbs, calories, or artificial dyes and great flavors. And then check out Player One Coffee as well. If you use that link, you'll get up to, I think it's 5 to 10% off some really solid coffee that's video game based themed, such as Leroy Jenkins, and they have all the way from light to dark roasts, first person smoother, pretty awesome stuff. So go ahead and check those out. On that note, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.